Hey everybody, it is Kellen Nitro for Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited coming at you with another episode of NitrosTake and wishing you a happy Halloween. Yes, it's the night before Halloween. Halloween Eve, I guess? No matter where you are, have a happy and safe weekend. Don't know if you're partying, if your jurisdiction allows public gatherings or social gatherings or not, or whatever. If they are, go out there, have fun. Watch out for idiots in cars, like the late Roddy Piper once said, and, just give her, have a great time. If not, it's a great weekend to sit back and get caught up on some classic Halloween Havocs. For example, the old WCW pay-per-view from back in the day that ran from 1989 to 2000 and was always WCW's kind of signature fall event. It was a little bit more iconic than the fall brawls and the like and the ilk, and definitely more iconic than the free ring 60-man battle royal that was World War III that they called. That was the late 90s in WCW. But anyways, NXT this week decided to bring back the Halloween Havoc moniker. Yes, that's right. NXT Halloween Havoc was a special episode of WWE's weekly television series NXT, broadcast on the USA Network, taking place on October 28th, 2020, in direct opposition of AEW's Dynamite episode at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando, Florida, which has been rechristened the Capitol Wrestling Center for all NXT events at this point. Now, while Chris Jericho and MJF were arguing who's in and out of the Inner Circle, and Kenny Omega and Adam Page were solidifying their spots at Full Gear, upcoming in, a couple weeks now, this was the show that ran opposition to it, and this got the higher rating for the night. Brian Alvarez of Wrestling Observer Live reporting yesterday that NXT garnered an 876,000 rating compared to AEW's 781,000 ratings. So while AEW in different demographics scored maybe higher, this had the better overall score, and this felt like a mini takeover, and it did feel like a mini network special, mini takeover. The thing that only threw me off was when they broke for commercial breaks. That's about it. I think that was the only thing that really hampered it. Again, it felt like a mini takeover. So again, Halloween Havoc was a pay-per-view series that WCW, well, first the NWA, then WCW, started in 1989 and ran right on through to the end of 2000. One would assume there would have been one in 2001 as well, had the purchase of WCW by Fusion Media Properties, which was the company spearheaded by Eric Bischoff, would have gone through. I think that was probably something that they would have had kind of earmarked for all those studio shows that they were going to shoot at, I forget the name of the casino in Las Vegas. Oh, yeah, the Hard Rock Casino, that's right. If they had that deal going on and so on and so forth. So, it's definitely an iconic pay-per-view name. It's something that everybody looked forward to. It was kind of the marquee fall WCW pay-per-view just prior to Starrcade, and it always had some of the weirdest and funniest, but also some of the best booked matches of the year as well. I mean, we remember Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. We remember the build and actually the match itself between Bret Hart and Sting from 1998, which was really good. Going back earlier than that, how about the Thunderdome cage match in 89 with Muta and Funk versus Sting and Flair? And on that same card, Luger and Brian Pillman for the U.S. title. It's just an iconic brand, and also some of the goofiest gimmick matches too, such as Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal, such as the Halloween Chamber of Horrors, such as the Monster Truck Sumo match. This is Halloween Havoc is pro wrestling in the 90s. This is quite the microcosm of, you can watch those 11 events and get a feel for what worked and what didn't for wrestling in the 1990s. So again, really cool to see NXT and the WWE bring back these old pay-per-view names. They did with the Great American Bash earlier this year. They're doing the same, and they did the same with Halloween Havoc. My big belief here is that these are, extra weapons to use in a Wednesday Night War. They are they own the copyrights to all these old WCW pay-per-view names, and these are just kind of firing shots across the bow of Cody and Brandy Rhodes and everybody over at AEW right now. But AEW, of course, finding their workaround. So it's a fun little volley week to week to see what each company does. But anyways, this year's Halloween Havoc is the first event to hold the Halloween Havoc moniker since 2000, and we have a live event host for this. Shotzi Blackheart is the host for this one. She does a ballistic job all show. The costume changes and just the whole presentation during the spin the wheel, make the deal segments for the 2 title matches were fantastic. I thought they were great. Runtime for this show, if you're watching it on the network, it is up on the network right now, 1 hour and 33 minutes, and it opens with a very zany B-movie spooky opening, the best kind of opening this time of year. The set at the Capitol Wrestling Center looks great, and it opens with Shotzi going shock rock over a Marilyn Manson track. Yeah, so this is the latest one that Marilyn Manson and his band have dropped here over the past week. It's called Don't Chase the Dead, and it's already kind of charting on music charts, so on and so forth across North America. I think it's up on the Billboard charts right now, and it's a fairly decent track for this time of year. I mean, everything gets spooky this time of year anyway, so why not, right? Hot transition to a dude that looks like Max Payne from the WCW days, but he's just riffing on a guitar, but he is just wailing and goes right into the entrance track for Damien Priest. And Damien Priest comes to the ring. He is the current North American champion in NXT. And Johnny Gargano is next to emerge. So we have Damien Priest versus Johnny Gargano. In our first title match for the night, it's the North American title. It is the first of the Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal matches, paying homage to the 1992-1993 Halloween Havoc main events that were Spin the Wheel, Make the Deal. It's a match concept that Dusty Rhodes came up with in the early 90s. It's really gimmicky. If you've never seen one before, basically it's a giant wheel like Wheel of Fortune, and one of the participants or the matchmaker will spin it, and whatever gimmick the pointer lands on is whatever the match is. Case in point, 1992, Sting versus Jake Roberts. That was a spin the wheel, make the deal, and the wheel landed on the coal miner's glove match, which, you know, was a gimmick match in itself, and wrestlers had to climb up a pole to get the coal miner's glove, and the first person to use the coal miner's glove on his opponent would win. So for the North American title, Damien Priest versus Johnny Gargano, this was the first of the 2 spin the wheel, make the deal matches, and the wheel lands on the Devil's Playground match, and we start hot. So Devil's Playground, basically Halloween themed, no disqualification, no count out, falls count anywhere match. Any other time of the year, it would just be a falls count anywhere match, but it's Halloween Havoc, gotta spook it up a little bit. So again, if you're new to the channel, I know there's been an influx of some new subscribers lately and that stuff. These Nitro takes are basically some of my favorite moments from the card. I'll list them, and we can discuss in the comments below what your favorite moments from the card were or not. So Priest hits Gargano with 3 or 4 stinger splashes early, and an early attempt at the Reckoning, which is Priest's finisher. No dice as Gargano escapes on the ropes. Gargano then reaches underneath the ring and grabs a kendo stick, so we think we're going to see some weaponry play here with Gargano taking a kendo stick to Priest, but Priest pulls out a nightstick as we go to break, and we don't see, at least on the WWE Network version, what happens during the break. I know these guys are talking about it as if there's like maybe a picture-in-picture on the USA Network or not. I'm not sure, because I watched this on the WWE Network, and of course, being from Canada, I don't have access to the USA Network. So if you guys did watch this on the USA Network, let me know if there's like some picture-in-picture, because I know the announcers were kind of alluding to stuff that was happening during the break during that. So we come back from break, and the match is on the outside. Gargano nails a sliced bread on the steps. A Falcon Arrow by Priest on Gargano on the announce desk follows. This card, it's actually funny. It's nice to see Wade with Vic at ringside. Beth Phoenix is still kind of socially distant somewhere, maybe from home, maybe from a separate studio broadcasting this. But they have the building limits, I guess, that they have to adhere to and whatever. And they've kind of stopped using the fake commentators now. Now they're using the, 2 out of 3 ain't bad, of actual people at the desk. So the fight continues into some Halloween decor that's set alongside the edge of the building here. Gargano ends up super kicking a mannequin in a casket because he thinks something is coming out of the casket to grab him. The two fight in the back as we go to break. And then as we come back from break, the two fight up to the wheel podium. Gargano wears out a garbage can on Priest. Priest attempts another try at his finisher, the Reckoning, but a dude in a scream mask ends up leveling Priest with a pipe. This was debated hotly. The 2 times that this person in the scream mask during the card pops out, you can tell are 2 completely different people. The second time you'll see her will be during the women's title match that we'll talk about later on here in the video with Candice LeRae and Io Shirai. And that there could be assumed that it's Indy Hartwell because there's some sort of angle building with Indy Hartwell being a kind of a student of the Garganos right now, or maybe just like just heel help for the Garganos at this point. The dude in the scream mask hands Gargano a tombstone, and he cross-checks Priest across the chest with it, sending him to the pavement below, and that allows Gargano to crawl down and grab the 1-2-3. Gargano is now the first ever 2-time North American champion. The runtime is 21:05. Quality match. Not my favorite of the card, kind of comical at times, but it's Halloween Havoc. You're going to get some humor and just some prop play and so on and so forth. But Gargano is your new North American champion, the first ever 2-time holder of that belt in NXT history. We go to break, come back. Pat McAfee and his new charges, Orny Lorcan and Danny Burch, arrive as we get a recap of last week of them winning the tag team titles over Breezango. Backstage, Cameron Grimes tries to get out of his match with Dexter Loomis tonight, but William Regal escorts him to the parking lot and says, "Your ride is waiting." So in ring, McAfee cuts a promo, and this promo is actually really good. Dude has legs as a manager, takes shots at the internet wrestling community, and he says he was behind the Ridge Holland attack on Adam Cole at TakeOver 31, and says that Lorcan and Burch were basically plan B when Holland got hurt. So this is an excellent use of real life situation right now with Ridge Holland. We don't know when he's going to be back in the fold with, I believe it was like an ankle injury or a compound fracture to the ankle or something. Anyway, it's lower body, and he's going to be out for some time. So some heads up thinking by creative on that. I had no problem with that whatsoever. In fact, I loved it. I thought it was great. The Undisputed Era music hits. Kyle O'Reilly hits the ring. Unfortunately, he is the only Undisputed Era member in the building, as Bobby Fish, Roderick Strong, and Adam Cole are all outside of the building tonight, nursing injuries or not allowed in the building or whatever. I think it was mentioned that they're all on the injured reserve right now, so in storyline. However, Kyle is not alone. He has Pete Dunne with him, and the announced team is shocked to see Pete Dunne. This is his first appearance since March, so Pete Dunne returns to the NXT fold. And don't forget, Pete Dunne was a tag team champion with Matt Riddle when the pandemic hit, and of course, Pete is still living in the UK, so that didn't allow him to travel to Orlando to do any NXT stuff through Mania Week and beyond. So this has been quite a bit of time, and he's been on NXT UK the past few weeks, so it's good to see him back on the main NXT program. Dunne hands O'Reilly a chair. The two chase McAfee and crew outside of the ring. Then Dunne clocks O'Reilly with a chair. Dunne lays out O'Reilly, and then Lorcan and Burch hit a Magic Killer-esque DDT, and this smells like War Games hype. Yes, because both sides have 4 men. Both sides have kind of created a faction, if you will, and that stuff. So going out on a limb here, I think this is probably what your War Games match will be this year. Will be Pete Dunne, Orny Lorcan, Danny Burch, and Pat McAfee taking on Undisputed Era, with Undisputed Era being the faces here going forward. So kind of a little bit of an interesting twist, but I always love a good War Games match, and this is shaping up if it does end up being the War Games hype, to be a really decent War Games match. Meanwhile, Cameron Grimes is chased outside, as we mentioned, meets up with his ride, but not before a awesome cameo by Michael Hayes. Yes, it's the van from the 1980s from World Class Championship Wrestling that Cameron Grimes gets into, and coming out of the van is Michael Hayes with a full-on cassette deck of Bad Street USA playing in the background, and he waltzes into the building, and Grimes gets in the van, and the van speeds off. So, yeah, I laughed. Thought it was good. Next match, Jake Atlas versus Santos Escobar. This is not for the Cruiserweight title, but rather a one-on-one contest here that's been built up over the past few weeks, a little bit of hype behind it. Escobar has some Rey Mysterio-style gear from the 1997 Halloween Havoc. Pretty sweet. A quick super kick by Escobar. Atlas, though, turning the tide with a bevy of suplexes and forearms. A cartwheel DDT by Atlas, but Joaquin Wilde pulls his boss's leg to the rope. Raul Mendoza with a stiff headbutt using a lucha mask on Atlas, and Escobar hits his finish for the 1-2-3. This match was short. This match was only 3 minutes and 28 seconds, and it felt short. It felt too short, actually. I would have loved to see them go, on 6 or 7 minutes, but the deal with television timing, and, you have hard outs at the top of the hour, and so on and so forth. So this kind of felt like this was cut for time a little bit, but it held its place, and it kind of harkens back, this one, to the Ricky Steamboat Brian Pillman match from Halloween Havoc 92, which that one, you'd expect that one to be a potential 5-star classic, right? But they only got cut, or they ended up getting cut to, I think, like 12 minutes or something like that. And Eric Bischoff on his podcast 83 Weeks with Conrad Thompson kind of mentioned that if the match wasn't going anywhere and you weren't allowing the athletes to be themselves in the ring, much like Steamboat and Pillman, and actually much like Atlas and Escobar were doing in this match, then longer isn't necessarily better. Then you kind of want a shorter time span. Maybe you want it to go even shorter than 3 minutes and 28 seconds, or in Pillman and Steamboat's case from 92, 12 minutes or so. So maybe it was along that type of line of reasoning, or that type of line of knowledge, I guess. We have a vignette video for Ember Moon. She wants Dakota Kai, and we'll end up getting Dakota Kai in a match next week on NXT. So some build to that through a video package. We come back from commercial, and it is time for the Haunted House of Terror. Cameron Grimes versus Dexter Loomis. And already talked about the Marilyn Manson track that's been playing throughout the show. It's kind of the theme of the show, and it's heavily used during the cinematic. I didn't expect a cinematic here, but I'm not surprised. It's Halloween Havoc. They would have worked a cinematic in somewhere along the line here. This actually was hilarious. Trevor Lee has really found himself as Cameron Grimes, and it shows. And I think that it was one of the funniest cinematics of the year for sure. This is it's a B-movie comedy, basically. Grimes gets chased out of the haunted house by Loomis and a gang of zombies, basically, and Loomis and the zombies, I guess, kind of all load into the van and chase on after Grimes, who goes running, yelling, and screaming right out of the front door of the house and into the dark of night, right? So it's a very funny segment. If you get a chance to watch it, it's actually quite hilarious. It's pretty good. And then the action picks up big time as we have Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez. This match was a hot start, back and forth early on. Hoss fight of all Hoss fights here. Yes, these are two women that currently, through 2020, have made NXT their playground for sure, and they are They are two powerhouses, and it was actually a lot of fun watching these two work against each other. Big power bomb into the plexiglass on the outside by Gonzalez, but Ripley though ends up turning the tide and hits her finisher, the Riptide, for the 1-2-3. Really good match. The runtime for this one is 13 minutes, just a shade over 13 minutes, 13:02. Some sites have it as 13 minutes on the dot. This is the Diesel as bodyguard for Shawn Michaels, proving that he can wrestle type storyline that they're doing with Raquel Gonzalez. Here, that Raquel is proving that she can wrestle and actually be competitive in these matches, and not just a bodyguard for Dakota Kai right now. And we'll see what happens here as going into 2021 as far as a split between Dakota and Raquel, but that's probably inevitable. But for right now, Raquel's just establishing herself as a heel monster on the NXT roster. And this match did nothing to hurt her for sure. Rhea Ripley, kind of a reclamation mission after the whole WrestleMania, I guess, fiasco with creative and so on. And so she's on a reclamation mission going forward. Go to commercial, come back, and Cameron Grimes is back in the building. Dexter Loomis, though, is waiting for him. Nice callback vibes to the Hollywood Backlot Brawl at WrestleMania 12 in 96. Loomis grabs a zombie and throws her at Grimes. The finish is Grimes gets put to sleep by Dexter Loomis, and Loomis wins the quote-unquote Haunted House of Terror match, which was part cinematic, part live action, all fun. Then it is time for the main event. This was for the NXT Women's Championship. Io Shirai, the champion, versus Candice LeRae, the challenger. This is another spin the wheel, make the deal contest. Poppy returns to play Io to the ring. Shotzi Blackheart then spins the wheel, and we get basically a TLC match, but renamed Tables, Ladders, and Scares instead of Chairs, because, again, Halloween Havoc. But it is Tables, Ladders, and Scares because Halloween. So basically, ladder match rules. Yes, the belt is suspended high above the ring, and the first woman to reach the top and grab the belt will be the NXT Women's Champion. LeRae reaches under the ring earlier on, and there's a bag under the ring on a table. She empties the bag, and it's body parts. Maybe it's zombie chow left over from the Loomis Grimes affair earlier on or something. This is a hard-fought battle. Lots of use of plunder in this one. Over the moonsault by Io Shirai nets nothing. Shirai then Pillmanizes LeRae's leg in the ropes with a chair. That was kind of brutal. But LeRae hits a shake, rattle, and roll through the tables on Io. It was like a swinging neck breaker through two tables set up at ringside that had kind of chalk outlines on them and made it look like that it was like at a crime scene or something. It was pretty cool. Then the person being with the Scream mask and the cloak comes out, attempts to help LeRae, but Shotzi Blackheart herself hits the ring and helps dispatch the masked superstar with a powerbomb, and it's basically a drag race up the top of the ladder. And Io first gets dumped off the ladder, then Candice gets a huge bump off of the ladder through another ladder that's sitting parallel on the apron of the ring between the announce desk and the apron. So she basically takes like a Jeff Hardy bump from the top of the ladder through another ladder at ringside. Scraped her arm up pretty good, so probably got scraped up big time on that. Shirai retains when she grabs the belt. This match itself was pay-per-view quality and the best match of the night. Takeover plus quality. Maybe my favorite NXT match of the year. Yes, I'd have to say so. Just above Cole McAfee from Takeover, which one was it? 30, I think it was? Yeah. We fade to black with Io atop the ladder, and that's the end of NXT Halloween Havoc for 2020. And my rating out of 10 for this card is a solid 8 out of 10. I enjoyed, like I said, my favorite match was the Women's Championship, Tables, Ladders, and Scares match. Tables, Ladders, and Chairs match. The cinematic stuff between Grimes and Loomis, while funny, really didn't do much for me. Atlas and Escobar was a throwaway. The McAfee promo and the angle going down with Dunn joining up with McAfee's crew, his brand, if you will, was fairly satisfying. I did enjoy that. And if it's War Games hype, I love it. And the opening contest was awesome between Priest and Gargano for the North American title. So all in all, it's only 90 minutes. It's worth a watch. It's a great card from top to bottom. And yeah, if you're not going out this Halloween, if you're too scared to go outside, you can definitely, bunker down inside and avoid the trick-or-treaters and check out this thing. All right, folks, later days, happy wrestling watching. We'll catch you next time on Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. I hope to maybe have some more Halloween content up for you guys in the coming hours or so. If not, I will wish you guys a happy Halloween now, and we'll talk to you on the other side in November. See ya.